Let's go to Andrew, who is going to talk to us about green grants. Hi Andrew, you're unmuted if you want to unmute yourself at that end.
Yeah, hi. I just want to discuss the green grants because I've been looking into this in some depth. They are pretty significant. So basically what happens with the green grants is that you get primary measures and you get secondary measures, right? And your primary measures are basically the sort of fundamentals of how the house uses energy and where it goes. And they have much higher funding than the secondary measures. So the primary measures are things like heat pumps and solar hot water, which are normally prohibitively expensive for landlords to put in because landlords don't pay the bills, they only pay for the capital cost of the heating infrastructure for the house. So most, in fact, probably almost all landlords, I don't know any landlords who put in heat pumps or solar hot water heaters for their tenants. But if you're doing a refurb where you're ripping the whole heating system out and starting from scratch, and just to stress, that's kind of what you have to do. You can't really sort of take a combi boiler and turn it to a heat pump because you need much larger radiators because the input hot water that heats the radiators is at a much lower temperature from a heat pump than it is from a gas-fired boiler, because obviously your energy coming in from the gas-fired boiler is, of the order of about it's hundreds of degrees centigrade, and therefore the output water can be, close to boiling if you want it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the heat, it's only around 40 degrees centigrade.
Yeah.
So you have to basically create an entirely new central heating system.
Mm-hmm.
Solar hot water also only works if you've got a tank on the property, because
So are you saying
gather energy.
that you can get more than $5,000 if you do these more advanced
Well, no,
things?
you can get your $5,000, but the point is that for the secondary measures, the other thing is insulation. So primary insulation on a house, such as loft insulation, which is pretty cheap, normally a few £100. Much more expensive is solid wall insulation. So, for example, my home is a Victorian house, and that would benefit from solid wall insulation. I've had a quote for that. In the past, it was prohibitively expensive, but I may well be able to get that done now. It may make sense for me to have solid wall insulation put on my house because the government will pay 2/3 of the costs. Where most landlords will find that they want to invest money is on things like windows and doors, because these have a benefit in terms of the comfort, but also the appearance of the house. The problem with the green grant system as it is designed at the moment is, and obviously these things have been subject to change in the past, various U-turns have occurred, that the green grant system only allows you to spend an amount of money which is on the secondary measures, which are proportionate to the primary measures. Now, I can't remember exactly what the ratio is, but basically the more you spend on primary measures, the more you can spend on secondary measures. What you can't do is go and, what I was planning to do is put new front doors on all my properties. Obviously that's it's a nice thing to have. The property looks better, and there is an improved thermal performance. But unless you're spending money on primary energy production and insulation, you cannot free up money for the secondary kind of nice to haves, right? Okay. So where this is particularly useful, if you've got properties with end-of-life heating systems, and particularly where you've got properties where they've got a bit of garden land, so that you can either use a ground source heat pump or put an air source heat pump outside, and a bit of roof space which is south-facing, you can put solar thermal hot water on, then you can invest quite a lot of money in the property. You might start capping out because these systems are expensive to install. But if you think about where you're doing a back-to-brick refurb on a property, you might budget, for example, for a medium-sized property, maybe $7,000 for a central heating system. The additional money that you spend on a heat pump heating system may well be in the order of $5,000, and that would enable you to claim back that grant for the difference. And obviously it makes a lot of sense to put in these things if you can afford to do it. So that it's a really good scheme, but where it won't work so well is where people have already got an operational heating or they might want to change a radiator or put a bit of insulation, and then use that to
Can I just double?
Yeah, stop amazing.
Can I just double check with you, because I've hit rock wall a few times when I've been trying to buy a house with a that's had solar panels put on the roof. Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking about solar PV. We're talking about solar thermal here. Okay, so solar PV.
Okay, yeah,
is
but
the black
let me
panels.
get to the point.
Okay,
Is
fine.
it a grant or a loan
Yeah.
from the government? Yeah, do they actually pay for it and that's it, one off done? Or
Yeah, it's capital. No, there's no finance that's secured on the property. It's a capital allowance,
Okay, cool.
so that you don't have a situation where you've got ongoing finance on the property. There's no charge or liens on the property. It doesn't affect your ability to sell it. What it does do is for properties that are in a position where they might benefit from a major upgrade and refurb of the heating system. You know, as I say, it's not just changing the boiler. You would have to rip out the whole heating system and replace it from scratch to make this worthwhile. In my current view, I might have misread the grant legislation, but if you're looking at doing a full replacement of the central heating system, that's where it starts to become economic, where it once would not be. Once you've done that, then you can also upgrade the property's double glazing. So if you think about where this will work very, very well is if you've got a situation where you've got a rattly old Victorian house with, you know, still got single glazing, antiquated heating system, and you're doing a full-on back-to-brick modernisation of the property. This grant will be transformational in enabling you to skip an entire generation of heating systems. Instead of going for a combi boiler, going straight to a heat pump, which can obviously be powered by renewable electricity, and solar thermal for the hot water. That is transformational. What it will not do is allow the average landlord who is doing routine, regular maintenance to their properties to replace typical heating systems with very low energy heating systems. So to some extent, it's a missed opportunity. It's disappointing that, for example, you can't do general double glazing upgrades. I don't think you can do double glazing repairs on that. I had some double glazing repairs and improvements that I wanted to do. I don't think that qualifies. So yes, it's great. Yes, there'll be some opportunities, but by my first reading of the legislation and the grant system that surrounds it, this is basically for allowing people to, when they're doing back-to-brick refurbs, to skip an entire generation of heating systems and go straight to a very low-carbon heating system.
Okay.
For much more, you know, regular, everyday minor works, it's just not going to be as significant, although there might be small grants available.
Okay, thank you.